Samantha and I, a few years after being married, just felt an incredible calling to start a family, and thought that'd be a pretty straightforward thing. It wasn't as straightforward as we had hoped. After several years of medical school, and then almost most of the residency, finally we were pregnant, and now we were pregnant with twins. When we were moving back to Georgia, I was actually apart from her because she had headed on. She was about 24 or 5 weeks pregnant, and we sent her ahead just to keep everything nice and safe. And I'd stay behind for my pediatric anesthesiology rotation. And I got a call very, very early in the morning, about 5 in the morning, saying that unfortunately she was in preterm labor. Just like we had not, we tried not to, have her go in preterm labor, but here she was. After rushing back to Atlanta and her a lot of work, getting stabilized, Asa Walker and Elijah John were born, and they were at how many weeks?
27 weeks and 5 days.
That's early, right? 40 weeks is normal. That's at full-term birth, so this is very early. And so there are all kinds of problems that come in to play when you're that early. We had an incredible amount of prayer. A really palpable amount of prayer. I just knew that Asa and Eli, that their impact on Carrollton, they were just kind of have a major impact on Carrollton. I knew it. And instead, one day, unfortunately, they were 2 years, 3 months, and 13 days old. We awoke, and they had been killed in the night while we had slept. And that seemed like everything had gone away immediately. The hopes and plans, the promises, the calling, it just all seemed gone.
Before we left the emergency room, after losing our boys, Bryan gathered everyone around and asked that we just pray. And we just prayed that their lives would be just meaningful, and that they wouldn't be forgotten, and just that we could use this to glorify God.
Over the next 9 months or so, God was incredibly close to us, very, very close to us, strengthened our marriage, and really strengthened our faith. We were just completely convinced by the time that it was all done that our God was 100% real and really interested in us. And we were fully known by Him. But the interesting part was that we didn't cease to have a calling to be parents. So we spent one weekend away and really just asked God earnestly to either please give us a plan, show us how that is going to be fulfilled, that calling is going to be fulfilled, or take it off of our heart. We struggled with Him for a weekend and did not remove it. So we kind of left that weekend, with a little more faith that we would be pregnant again.
So God has now blessed us with 2 little boys. Our baby of hope, which is Crawford Joseph, and our baby of peace, which is Solomon Daniel.
So while everything was changed and nothing was replacing Asa and Eli, we had a God that demonstrated His ability to renew and just keep His promises and His word in our lives.
2 Corinthians 1, it tells us the God of all comfort, who comforts us when we need it, then we're to therefore comfort others in suffering as well. I wanted to use their story to help others, and so I just looked for different opportunities within the church for God to use us and me to just bring glory through our suffering. When the church started offering How People Change, and then Instruments in the Redeemer's Hands, took those classes, which then led into biblical counseling.
Through that experience, not only was our faith deepened, but our reach, was broadened, so that Samantha had opportunities now with moms in a different way, even for those struggles that can come along with having a child, all the way to, probably the most, tragic thing that could happen as a parent. There are zero examples of times where God wasn't big enough to use someone's suffering, or to use the pain in their life to glorify Himself and to make the gospel more real in that person's life. So there's nothing else that can happen, to me, that will somehow shake my faith in a way that was, hasn't already been tested. There's no question that I can get from someone else that wants to understand, their questions in life, or their suffering, or their pain. There's no question that I can face that I don't already have the answer to. There's a confidence about having been through the fire that I think helps you be a good leader.